Oh, hello there. How are you doing? I hope great. I'm doing fine as well. Thank you for asking. So, yeah, guys. Hello, Brews here. Last time around, I was discussing a few cool decks, a few cool brews for new standard. Among them were a couple variations of Abzan with some drain packages and the combo with monitor displacer, cutthroat. There was the sweet delirium rock deck with a lot of funky stuff going on. There was the madness deck. There was some iteration of attack rats, Naya planeswalkers, black green ramp tokens, Abbey deck, mono blue control. And today I'm gonna talk about a bunch of company variants, some control in form of Esper Dragons, red green Eldrazi or red green Ram Proverb, because it's not so much as Eldrazi really. It's just a Ram deck that happens to have Eldrazi cards in it. Black white control, okay. So yeah, a bunch of company decks. In that video I will be talking about a couple modern decks, blue-black Tezzerets, and the impact on the Absent Collected company combo. But this time we're talking about standard, continuing talking about cool new archetypes in standard. Okay, let's open Esper Dragons first then. So this is not like the go-to list, but this is a start. The thing why To the Slaughter is fine actually main deck is because you got the Jaces, so you can actually fill your graveyard and activate Delirium, and you're probably gonna play more sideboard. Jaces might not be enough in order to get some pro draw and get some cool hard to deal with threats. You can play one of Nixilis there because you have less options now, so it's probably okay even in Esper Dragons. You could, instead of Nixilis, play an extra Silumgar, for example. You probably want to play Truce because it's just an awesome card to flashback with Jace. No Crux of Fate, so you still got Languish, but a lot of cool stuff is languish proof, and I don't know if one copy is enough. Jurists seem kinda awkward, but probably it's okay because of Jaces, so you can like cycle them if they don't look that great. On the other hand, no dig through time, so I don't know, Jurist feels kinda odd. You probably want some ultimate prices, some grasp of the darkness in the deck. It depends on the meta game what's better. Of course you have the Scorns. One Agitate command is okay. You probably want at least one, but you only have like Jesus. This deck really doesn't need Thing in the Eyes because they have Invocation, which though get a little bit worse because it's less about just one big threat like Rhino or something like that. So instead people will play a bunch of cheap creatures and just spam the board if they're playing an aggro deck where you have a bunch of tokens. Epiphany I'm not very excited about. This is why it's actually complemented by a copy of Dragon Lord's Prerogative there. In addition to Scorn, you have a couple of Clash Wills to have a decent counterspell package, and of course Anguish Unmaking, and probably want at least one or two in your deck. 3 maybe a little bit too much for main deck, so it could be like an extra counterspell like Clash Wills maybe, but you want probably like at least 2 in your deck, something to deal with opposing planeswalkers and giant threats that price cannot touch, for example, or are too awkward for the Slaughter, something like that. Yeah, your mana base is quite a bit different. No fetchies, of course, but you have new dual lands, which is not really the same, and you're forced to play Evolving Wilds and probably a bit more basics than we usually saw in Asper lists. No hype for this one yet, because it will largely depend on what the metagame will shake up, because this is a control deck. It will just play a bunch of answers and ways to interact with your opponent, and we don't know exactly what to expect, because a lot of decks are viable, but a lot of them might be very bad, so only people who play tested Buttload already with some proxies, or like a Magic Online Beta or whatever it's called, know what decks are actually okay or not. I haven't had a luxury to grab a company and take a bunch of proxies and play tests a bunch yet, so I don't know exactly what you would want in the sideboard. Okay, moving on to other decks. Let's check out, I suppose, John Midrange, then probably go to ramp, and then all variations of company decks. By the way, hold on a minute. Well, more like a second. I wanna check out the price on the Esper Dragons. Yeah, it's gonna bite a bit. It's gonna bite a little bit, but it's largely because of Jaces. If you have them already, then actually it might not be the worst deck to buy into. Though Ojutai, well, okay, we get to keep him for 2-3 more months, but I don't know. It's not gonna see play in Modern. I don't see it. So I don't know. Clunky investments. Not if you have already Jaces, it's not gonna be the most expensive deck to buy in. Okay, John's mid-range. So it's pretty much there because of the appeal of Arlinn Cord plus Chandra, and then Dwellers plus Kolaghan's Command in the same deck. So that's probably the appeal. Have 5 cards missing in a sideboard because I don't know yet what to put in there, because there are so many options. Basically, you want your advocates, you want some cheap removal, you definitely want Kolaghan's Commands to rebuy back stuff and go nuts with the Dwellers. Definitely want Arlinn Cord, maybe more than 2 copies. Probably want Chandra, probably not more than 2. Obnixilis is fine because you want to draw cards. Path is just something nice to get back with the Dwellers, just get rid of their Planeswalkers. Painful Truth is not amazing to rebuy with the Dwellers, so for that reason maybe Read the Bones is better. Then also you might want to play actually 4 copies of Dwellers in this deck, I don't know. Maybe you don't really need Pia and Kiran here. You definitely want Kalitas because you have so much removal, and that's one of the biggest appeals of the deck. Play some removal, play Kalitas next turn, let's say play Dwellers, rebuy like Kolaghan's Command or something, get value. Then Protector is cool. 4 copies may be a bit too much for this deck, maybe 3 is okay. Definitely want it. Abbott is another cool card that provides card advantage, especially with Kolaghan's Commands and stuff. And Firecrafts are there because they're nice with Dwellers, and it's removal, and it can also go to head. This deck can actually be quite aggressive sometimes if you start with something like turn 2 Advocate into, say, turn 3 I don't know, Den Protector morphed, or Commands, then into something like Kalitas into, or Arlinn Cord into Chandra later. So yeah, it can sometimes probably win by turn 6. That's for sure, but most of the time it's just a grindfest deck, I would say. Okay, moving on. What else we got? Yeah, the company decks. But no, I promised like to go through the red-green ramp first. So, yeah, by the way, the Giant deck is also gonna cost you a bit because of the planeswalkers and such. Okay, red-green, the mana base is pretty simple. Some basics, some evolving wilds, some dual lands, sanctums, because you want to get those boom booms off of Nissa. By the way, that's Jerry Thompson's list. So off Nissa gets you whatever. I have a bunch of Chandras and Arlen cards, so you have a lot of that going on for you. Then basically you could chain world breakers and crack the sanctums, get Ulamog, etc. You ramp into Atarka, so you own a lot of creature matchups because of that dragon. You have Cultivator to ramp into. It's better. It's replacing Mystic here. And you don't play 2 play sets of mana dorks or like 6+ of them, because you can just play this thing with some wastes, which you actually need to cast some things, like activate the ability on the World Breaker. Well, yeah, okay, you are not really casting anything with the wastes, but yeah, you need Carless sources to use the World Breaker's ability. Then you have your normal Vegetations and Pilgrimage. And the new cool addition to this deck, apart from Arlene, is this card. And it's actually not gonna be insanely hard to activate Delirium with this card. You can get a land because of Evolving the Wilds. You can get a Planeswalker plus creature plus a sorcery or instance, and there you go. And getting Atarka or Ulamog with this thing's gonna feel real good. I don't know why this card is actually priced not super highly right now. It should probably go up. Clip wins for all the angels, Avacins and such. Returned for quick aggro. I'm a bit surprised why he puts this voice Zendikar Nissa into here. Maybe just some way to dirtle in the early game. Perhaps in the matchups where some of your cards don't do a whole lot. I could definitely see some matches where World Breaker doesn't do really anything. Rouse, just your general red go-to removal spell, an extra Ulamog for more consistency. Let's say, yeah, the deck doesn't cost that much, and basically, if you open some Arling cards, the rest is not a huge thing. And so let's say you opened previously some Ulamogs and now you opened at the previously some Arlenes, then the rest is not like that ridiculous. Return is actually now not that much because Eldrazi gets smashed in Modern because of the banning of Ivogging, and Return didn't really show up a whole lot in Standard. So yeah, Return gone really down. Return really gone down. I'm happy I didn't invest into that card at all before. Okay, let's go onto all the company decks. Let's start with the Eldrazi one. So it's a friend's list. Basically, you splash for green to play company most of the time, so that's the plan. And the rest is just a bunch of Eldrazi creatures. You have no other non-creature spells except for company. And then the goal is to slam into play aggregates, guides, reshapers, forerunners, spawners, infiltrators, even barriers, and then you have few more creatures that which don't get hit by the company. It's free smashers for consistency reasons, like Day 9 likes to say. So yeah, the mana base is very tricky. A bunch of pain lands, so you're gonna hurt yourself a little bit, but you have Vestige to fix the stuff a little bit, and Crossroads, but Crossroads also pings you, so yeah, basically you need to win fast with this deck, because then that pain from Painlands is gonna add up, and if your collected companies don't resolve for some reason, then you're in a big trouble. Not really a whole lot to say about that deck just yet. Yeah, basically if you're hungry for interesting black weight control deck list, check out what Patrick Chapin had to say in one of the latest articles on SCG Premium. I think I looked through his list very carefully, and once I looked through it for a few times, it actually made sense the way he built it, and it's really intriguing. I recommend that. Okay, John's Company. Basically the appeal of this deck is to have Olivia with Collected Company in the same deck, and then your other non-creatures are a couple of commands, which is probably correct, and then Arlen Chords for more tempo, for more board presence. Not sure if total of 10 non-creatures is okay. I feel like it may be a little bit too high, and maybe you would want to play just 2 Arlenes and then a couple of, let's say, ultimate prices or something. Maybe you don't really need to. This is pretty interesting. People actually like this card in the deck. Yeah, it's fine. It's a 3-point attacker, and it can draw you cards when you fall behind. Of course you have your usual Raptor then Protector chain, of course you have drawn in the same deck, and then you have this guy, which lets you search for more creatures. People actually started to put him in every green creature deck, so I expect this to be really a common creature in standard and competitive play, even because everybody who's brewing and testing a lot has been putting this card into their decks, and yeah, make sure you don't put yours too far away when you open them in limited, because people gonna need those. Only couple of advocates. I think there should be more of them in the deck. This is a strange list. I probably would play, actually, because this is not mine, this is Pascal Maynard's list, which he put on Channel Fireball, I think. I think this list wants more advocates, so probably cutting a couple visitors for that, and then not sure about the Recruiter this much in this deck. I kinda want to see the Peddler here, but unlike in control-ish decks or decks with a lot of burn capabilities, yeah, maybe Peddler is not that great. Well, it's not Peddler, it's Prodder. Oh, sorry, it's not Peddler, it's Prodder. That's the 3/2 menace guy, I believe, for 2 in a red. That's deals them damage if they want to put your top deck into the graveyard. Yeah, I kinda want to see that card in the Galactic Company chant list, but maybe it's too risky. Maybe it's just too risky. Okay, moving on. Band Company. Another funky deck. A lot of people been trying to make this good, and a lot of people have very different opinions on what to actually play in this deck. You definitely start with a pretty hard mana base. The numbers here are probably still not correct because this is like rocket science actually. If you want to play bands, then the mana base is gonna be really mind-wrecking, because you start with Galactic Company and then normally other non-creature to go to Ystrimoko's command. You could try one of Ojitai's command here as well if you really like to, or some couple of like some actual spot removals which are not so situational. But there's a lot of burn and good red cards like Kolgan's command, so Dramoko's commands should be good. Then of course you have Advocates. You probably want Jaces, but some people actually stopped liking it. Ice Boners are good from of the company. Recruiter is also a card that people seem to like in this deck. Some Den Protectors, 2 may be the right number, I'm not sure. Maybe 3 is the optimal amount. Because you have Raptors, you have some Crazes, then some cards that are not certain, but I do like them. The Bishop, it's a 3 mana guy to free flyer. When you cast a guy with cost 3 or less, you get to investigate. So you don't get to draw right away. You get that clue, so you still have to pay 2 mana to draw a card. But those are not creatures, so they're likely gonna stay in there. So later on, when you run out of gas, pay 2, draw a card, etc. What I like with this guy is that he's solid as a flying creature, and then you have a bunch of creatures that essentially cost 3 or less, so you're gonna get a bunch of clues, and that's nice. But this might not be a good enough reason to splash white. Dragomako's command is much better reason, and the biggest reason to have white in this deck is Reflector Mage. We have learned that it's an absurd card, but it might not be as good in this new standard, so there is a chance that this deck will just become Blue-Green Company, and it's actually not a bad idea, because a lot of people seem to think that way, who've been either playing with the deck or playing standard a lot. And Stratos Dancer is another card that was featured a lot in the last season version of Band Company. Now not super much, but still quite a bit. And what can I say? It's okay on its own. It's fine to flip it off a company to 1 flyer, so not that bad. But one of the biggest reasons to play it, in addition to the fact that sometimes it can really wreck opponent's game plan if you just cast it and then counter like a mass removal or some really cool commands like Kolgan's commands. They would be trying to bring back a creature, kill one of yours, and you're like, nope. So yeah, it's basically a great assistance for Raptors, because you want to bring them back, and a couple of Den Protectors might not be enough. So there is an argument actually for cutting reflectors and cutting commands and bringing in maybe some bounce spells or something like Harbinger of the Tide, so that this way you can clean the path for your creatures, play more Crisis, and then maybe play more Dancers, at least in the sideboard, play more Den Protectors, etc. And then be this blue-green tempo Collected Company deck. That path is definitely plausible. Anyways, you probably would want chases in that deck, but especially if it's banned with commands and such, and some other white removal maybe on the sideboard, like the Correlation in Stone. But if you're blue-green, there is a chance that you will not really need chase and you would want something more aggressive. Especially because now you cannot dig for such a cool counter spell card like Disdainful Stroke. You don't have that anymore. All you got is stuff like Negate and Dispel left, and that's not gonna cover a lot of the stuff that this deck hates to see. Still have Lantern Scouts for life gain, still can play Silk Wrap for removals. This is a cool card that you want to try out in Collected Company decks and Werewolf decks. The Balanced Fear, Voice of Resurgence kinda card. You probably want some lips, because why not? You play Raptors, you play Den Protectors. This is a cool card with all comes into play abilities. Maybe not so cool if you have some a little bit different card choices, but on this kind of build it's okay, because you have still Reflectors, and then you have Sky Spawners, and with Bishops it's also cool, and with a few Crisis it's also cool. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I think, yeah, my Black Weight control is something totally different. It's Patch Happens list. I think it's fair to talk about it because he actually in his article gave a lot of cool deck lists, not just this one. I just particularly was interested in this one, and he's probably gonna explain it in a very different way than I'm about to, so I think his arguments are definitely different from how I see this deck. But yeah, there are some obvious things here. Dead Weight is a cheap removal that helps your Delirium. Why would you need Delirium here? Basically, you want some cards to actually work in your deck, particularly main deck Descent upon the Sinful. And you want Delirium, you want that extra 4/4, and then you have main deck to the Slaughter, so there you go. Those are the reasons, apart from being a cheap removal spell. In addition to the Slaughter, to get rid of Planeswalkers, you also have a Path. For creature removal, you also have Grasp and Declaration. You have a couple Jurors as main deck just to see what's up. Have Read the Bones. You can't play Painful Truth because you're just 2 colors. Archangel is OP. Also Hangerback helps you for the Delirium, because it's artifact and the creature, so it counts as 2 already card types. You have your Calitus, and I think there should be more of it in the deck. At least maybe 1 more copy in the sideboard. Then to help Delirium and have this cool cheap threat, he has Mindbreak Demon, just a 1-of, and then perhaps because he wanted cool value 4-drop, so he's playing 4 Footnote Seers in the deck, which is pretty a good idea, I think, because it's kind of free, especially with Caves and 3 copies of Blighting Fan. So he's really afraid of Dragon Lord Ojutai, maybe. Of course, you have the Whirlwind Walls to help for Delirium as well, and Shambling Vents. He also plays 1 waste because of whatnots here. Sideboard is quite, let's say, solid. Search for aggressive decks. Smasher is probably just an extra threat where you need the extra push to be a bit more aggressive, a bit more proactive, probably against other controller mid-range decks. Pictobrain is also an interesting card. This is the reason why he only plays like 1 extra Duras in the sideboard and not like more of them, because he also has this. This is like cranial extraction kind of card. Not only you get rid of something, but if you have Delirium, you just get rid of all those cards from their deck, so take them all out. And that's actually pretty cool. Getting Delirium online is gonna take some effort, but you get this kind of effect for only 3 mana. We typically get used to see those kind of cards at 4, but because to switch on that effect takes a bit of effort, so it's 3 mana. And actually, when you cast this on turn 3, you're probably not gonna have Delirium, but you're gonna get rid of some card there. But for standard, this speed bump is probably okay, because a lot of the time when you're gonna side this card into your deck, it's probably gonna be that you're fine actually casting it like turn 4, turn 5, turn 6, because you would be taking out their Planeswalkers, their Atarkas, Ulamogs and stuff like that. It's nice that you don't have to name anything. You just see what's up in their hands, you choose a card and then get rid of those cards from their deck and from everywhere. So you get that kind of flexibility as well as an added bonus. But yeah, it's a tricky card, but yeah, in this deck it's probably great. It's probably great. It could also be great in Jund mid-range, where you could rebuy this with the Goblin Dark Dwellers. One Hallowed Moonlight kind of throws me off a little bit, but I guess he just wanted to throw that in there. It could be a second Calatus in here as well. Tendrils, more Sweepers, yeah, Duras I told, and Declaration. So that's about it, folks. That's it for today. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave any feedback or comments below the video. Check the links in the description. There is all sorts of things, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.